This is our special coverage, the battle for T20 supremacy. And if you've obviously not been able to catch that match, here's what happened. India beat Pakistan, and rather resoundingly, by 61 runs after setting them a target of 176. Pakistan started poorly and finished quite disappointingly. Of course, it was a battle that was made much of, but didn't really turn out the way they would have liked to, the way that many expected them to turn up and show up for that encounter. So what were the big moments here? We spoke about how Pakistan floundered. We spoke about what difference India made. What were the key moments in that game that really defined this particular face-off? We'll have to start with Ishan Kishan. Really, think about it. You're a youngster here, barely 26. You've been dumped out of the BCCI contracts a couple of years ago, a little more than a year ago, and been told that you do not have the character, you do not have the temperament to be a part of the national setup. You're dejected, you're disappointed. What do you do? Of course, it's tough to really come out from something like that, especially when you're so young, you're so impressionable, you've given your heart out, you want to take a break, you've not really showed up for your domestic side. You slow down. Of course, what we also got to learn at the backdrop of it all was his family saying he forgot how to smile. But of course, the Bhagavad Gita, the religious books, really pulled him out, gave him inspiration really, and made him fight. He showed up. He showed up for his state side. He got them through to a title. He led from the front. He was putting in those runs. He was putting those performances, not just in the domestic side. He did it in the IPL, which means facing off against the best in the international circuit, sharing the dressing room with some of the best and countering some of the best over there, and showed up on an India-Pakistan match with your partner getting dismissed very, very quickly within that first over, and just turning up the gear, putting the foot on the accelerator, and showing the world the stuff that he's truly made of. This is the guy who was not in the scheme of things just some months back. He was not supposed to be part of a World Cup. He showed up. He even has kept wickets in this game. He played a very, very critical role and really showed up for India. Clearly the player of the match, and rightly so. The other moment, I mean, this is of course something that a lot of people wouldn't talk about because it kind of gets a little diminished in the larger scheme of things, is of course Shivam Dube's cameo. It was just that short burst in the end, the 20-odd runs, but really that made a bit of a difference because it's not about the number of runs alone that he contributed. It's about when it actually came. India had lost those 2 quick wickets. There was a bit of a shift in that momentum, and any shift of momentum in a T20 game can really change the course of the match, change the narrative, can actually put a team that was confident, that was dominant, on the back foot. So that cameo by Shivam Dube has to count into it, including some of those lusty blows that Rinku Singh put in there towards the end as well. I think that really were some of the moments from that first innings for India in setting that target of 176 that really did Pakistan in. What about Pakistan? Their famed spin lineup. It was not as effective as they should have been. That was a highlight of this game. They were coming in there with the spinners being trumpeted and the spinners being talked off, and how they would be threatening and how they would actually put India in a spot of bother. That didn't turn out. That didn't happen as per plan. Saeem Ayub really did something there in the middle there. He was probably the lone spark. A few key moments there, but not much to write home about. Let's move to the run chase then. What were the biggest moments for India? Of course, apart from Saeem Ayub, who also had an important role in Pakistan's batting to come later on, his only bright spark proved to be that, because in that run chase, what really panned out was the most disheartening moment for Pakistan in this encounter. The biggest moment for India, it has to be the opening pair of Jasprit Bumrah and Hardik Pandya. How many times have we seen Jasprit Bumrah being under the pump, being confident as well, being in different situations, whether it's him bowling in, steaming hard at the back of a very good total, or trying to defend a paltry one. He always shows up in the right colour, in the right vibe, and somehow gives the kind of start that India always wants. And he had the right partner too. He had someone like Hardik Pandya there, who in fact was the first one to drive the nail in and dismiss a man in form for Pakistan as well. So that really set the ball rolling for India in that second innings, for India when that run chase really mattered. Those 2 wickets is really what put the pace in and completely changed the complexity of that game. In fact, those 2 really did Pakistan in, finding that door ajar and just storming the castle as we saw. There was no real recovery from there on. Of course, a big moment of failure. We have to speak about Babar Azam. You know, so much has been said about the kind of pressure he's been in, how he's not really delivered. We had him failing in that Big Bash League as well. A lot of confusion, a lot of getting into a World Cup with the critics snapping right behind you, at your heels, and with so much expectations on your shoulders. But come the moment he faltered. They say the big matches is for the big players, for them to stand up, for them to deliver. I couldn't say that about Babar Azam today, and he'd be much disappointed as well. If you cannot stand up and be counted when the team really needs you the most, then it becomes a rather lonely campaign. And that's exactly how Babar Azam would feel. Of course, a few other shining moments has to be, and this is really critical for India in this part of the campaign, and it's reminding me a lot of what India looked like during the Champions Trophy, what the Indian outfit looked like during the T20 2024 World Cup winning campaign. You had Kuldeep Yadav and Akshar Patel coming right in and stepping up when someone like a Varun Chakravarti was not finding himself in that wickets column. Look, Varun Chakravarti has dominated headlines. He was the one who actually bore a complete imprint. The number 1 T20 bowler. Why would that match not be about him? But when that didn't really work out the way it would have, these 2 bowlers really stepped up. Akshar did Babar Azam in, and of course everyone just rallied around, and that's really what was the differentiator in the end, isn't it? It's not about the big names coming in and stepping in and doing business as is expected of them. It's about what happens when the plan A doesn't work. What happens then? That's what really differentiates an ordinary team from a champion side. And that's exactly the story that I want to leave you with here tonight. If you've managed to catch that match, or even if you didn't, India did not rely on plan A alone. They had various plans and they stepped up when it really mattered. Pakistan faltered and they didn't really step up in those moments when they really had to. That's what really decides the best from the rest.
Power doesn't end quietly. Some deaths are not accidents. They are messages. A gunshot. A crowd. A country frozen. The killer disappears. The questions don't. This is not just about who died. It's about what followed. Governments fell. Armies moved. History rewrote itself. 5 leaders. 5 moments. One pattern. The assassination.